Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall, and I'm delighted as always to be joined by Thomas and Owen. And we're here in big fight breakdown mode for a very intriguing super middleweight contest between Edgar Berlanga, the knockout artist, and Britain's Hamzah Sheeraz making his debut at super middleweight in this one. And yeah, it's a bit of a baptism of fire this one for Sheeraz following the loss to or the draw against Carlos Adames last time out for world honours. But yeah, we'll be giving our thoughts, breaking it down, where the fight might be won or lost. Another interesting points, hopefully. So yeah, let's jump into it, lads. I hope you're well, first of all. As I said in the intro, this one for me, this one is a really fascinating one. It was a bit out of left field when it first got announced, but I love this fight.
Mhm.
Um, you've got Hamza Sheeraz is where I want to start with here. As I mentioned, a draw with Carlos Adames last time out. A lot of people thought he was lucky to even get a draw. He was very fortunate, but it kind of, I know he had a bit of an injury, and that may explain the underwhelming performance. But a lot of people seem to have maybe cooled off a bit on him following that. Thomas, I'll start with you. Would that be the case with you after that fight? Has that performance changed your perception in any way of Hamza Sheeraz?
Initially, I was pretty uh, disappointed in his performance. Um, I think he seemed to abandon a lot of the tools that got him to that point. Like he wasn't really using the jab very much at all, and he was just covering up against the ropes. And me personally, I thought he lost that fight. Um, Surprised to see him get a draw, but um, I do realize that yeah, he was hurt. He did have a hand injury, so perhaps that could have influenced his performance and some of the decisions he made during the fight. So yeah, I did kind of I don't want to say like I jumped off the hype train, but I definitely wasn't as high on him uh afterwards as I was going in.
Yeah, it is a good point. Like I'm massively on the Hamza Sheeraz hype train, and I was underwhelmed after that. But you have to kind of look at how much did the injury kind of affect that performance because he was very gun shy in that. Carlos Adama is a very good fighter, very dangerous fighter, but yeah, I think he was fortunate. I think he got outworked, he got out hustled in that one. And he was fortunate to come out with a draw. Owen, I'll throw the same question to you. Has your perception coming into this fight now changed much on Hamza Sheeraz based on that last performance?
Not particularly, but I think that's possibly because I've had the benefit of watching him from ringside. I watched him when he obliterated Liam Williams inside a round, but it was just the fact of sometimes I don't want to play into the injuries. Is it as an excuse? Is it genuine? But that night, Hamza Sheeraz's jab against Liam Williams, I've never seen a fighter hurt off a jab. And the first jab that landed, Liam Williams looked to his corner as if to say, I'm in trouble here. And now Liam Williams isn't a world beater, but he's been in with some good opposition. He's a decent level fighter. You know, so it weren't like it was a journeyman or a nobody. Obviously, he's no Canelo or even like Berlanga, etc. He's not a massive name in the sport, but he's been in some good fights. It's only the second time he's been stopped, and one of those obviously when he retired against Leon Smith. So that was not necessarily a coming out party, but a little bit of a statement for me. So my perception hasn't changed. I've sat ringside and I've witnessed someone getting hurt off a jab. He was feeling it, he was panicking, and you could tell Hamza Sheeraz jumped all over it. So it's a difficult one because he definitely lost the Adames fight. Let's not get it twisted. Carlos Adames got robbed that night, but I don't think Adames exactly helped to make it a great fight. He could have done a lot more. I think he sort of did what he needed to do and probably got a little bit of luck that Sheeraz wasn't the Sheeraz we expected. So for me, it was not maybe a wake up call that he's this hype train. He isn't just going to go in and smash everybody, knocking out Amo Williams, etc. Big statement wins. So I think it was needed for Sheeraz himself, and it was needed for the hype train. But My opinions haven't really changed, but maybe let's slow the hype train down ever so slightly.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to make in terms of it was probably needed for Hamzah Sheeraz just to kind of not reel him in, because he is very grounded, kind of very level-headed, kind of reel the hype around him, to reel that in. But fighting these names, Amo Williams, Carlos Adames at such a young age is still going to stand him in good stead. And he has another tough one here against Edgar Berlanga, 168 up at the new weight division. I'll stick with you on kind of moving on to Berlanga and Sheeraz, to be honest with you. We were kind of touching briefly off camera about the 168-pound rankings. Could you see, they're two young men, could you see Berlanga and Sheeraz winning a world title, becoming world champion? They've both challenged before. Of course, Berlanga challenged the Kingpin at 168. But
Yeah.
Canelo might not be around for too much longer. I'd imagine if those belts get broken up, how do you see Berlanga and Sheeraz against the best of the rest?
I think, like you say, it all depends on Canelo, really. Whilst Canelo's around, there's no one at that weight who's going to dethrone him. So for as long as he fancies it, and as long as feels he's still at his best, he reigns supreme in that division. But then I think we could look at, we almost look at it. At lightweight and featherweight, for example, how titles we've seen change hands quite often, and on ESBR videos we're saying who's the best featherweight on the planet. It changes every time we do a video because of how the division is. I think we could potentially look at that. You've got the likes of Diego Pacheco and Billy, Caleb Plant still be around. So I think once Canelo goes, I think we've got it's such a wide open landscape at 168 that I think either of these could definitely win a world title. Berlanga didn't disgrace himself against Canelo. He didn't. It's hard for someone to go in and just throw the kitchen sink at Canelo, but we've seen him in some horrendous fights in recent times in terms of people going in and just doing nothing. So I think both men can definitely win a world title. Whether they will or not is a different question, but 100% both of them can because I personally think once Canelo's finished in the next what 2, 3, 4 years max, maybe. Who knows? He could go on well into his 40s if he decides to. But I think once he does give it up, the 168 division is wide open.
Interesting, interesting. Thomas, I'll throw it over to you. What do you see the future like for both of these? Can you see them getting their hands on a world title? Maybe not against Canelo, but if they do become split up, can you see these two either or both becoming a world champion?
Right, like you both mentioned, not against Canelo, but I would definitely feel I'm not sure about Berlanga winning a world title. I don't know if I would pick him to beat like any of the other top fighters in the division, or at least confidently. I do feel quite a bit better about Shiraz's chances winning a bout. Um, as you guys both mentioned, once Canelo leaves the division, it will be broken right up, and there'll be four belts free to grab. So it's hard for me to imagine, especially if Sheeraz beats I mean if either guy wins that fight, for them to not at least be in line for a world title shot. So yeah, I'm not very confident in Berlanga winning a world title, but I think that Shiraz probably will at some point if Canelo winds up retiring or vacating them.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of disagree with that in terms of your take on Berlanga. He is exciting, but he does have a lot of flaws, and there is kind of very exciting fighters coming up at 168. I think Sheeraz will be the more kind of well-rounded, well-adjusted fighter. But yeah, there's no reason why either of them can't do it. Just a quick question, Thomas. I'll throw it back to you for this one. It's a question I hadn't thought of asking, but I'll throw it in. Let's say Hamza Sheeraz gets through this fight, not to say, to get on to predictions just yet. Let's say he gets through this one and does fight this version of Canelo Alvarez. Could you see him troubling Canelo Alvarez or even beating him at 168? Could he cause Canelo problems here?
Oh boy. I think it would be an interesting fight for sure, and perhaps he could. If he but he would have to fight a very, very disciplined fight. You make sure to use his jab and really just be on his P's and Q's. I just don't know if he really I mean he doesn't really have the experience in my opinion to um for me to confidently say that he beats Canelo. I don't think we've seen enough from him yet. I do think that like he has the goods, like all the potential. But assuming he's even if he's healthy, and has both hands working properly, I don't know still. I think we'll learn a lot about how he would do once he fights Berlanga.
Yeah, it is a conversation for another day, I suppose. He has a tough one to get past here. Owen, I'll throw it back to you. Let's jump into kind of the nitty gritty of this fight. Give me your keys to victory for both men in this one. How does Berlanga get it done, or how does Sheeraz get it done if they want their hand raised here in this one?
I think for me, I think Berlanga he's got to look for the knockout in this fight. I think Sheeraz is a much, as you said, I'll completely agree. Sheeraz is much more well-rounded. I think Sheeraz could probably box more fights than Berlanga could. I think Sheeraz could probably fight, like you say, on the inside, on the outside, keep it at range, look to hurt, look to punish. Whereas I don't think Berlanga's got as many gears to go through as Sheeraz does. So I think Sheeraz, if he can keep him, like we say, he's got a great jab. If he can keep Berlanga on the end of his jab and dictate the pace, dictate the style of fight, without going into predictions, I think it bodes very well for him. I think Berlanga's got to try and close that gap because he's not the smallest super middle, and he's still smaller than Sheeraz. So Sheeraz is a problem for anyone in the division because he's huge. You know, 6'3", 6'4" odd. Was once fighting at super welterweight. It's mental. So now he's at a weight he should be at. I feel is a lot more natural at. So I think Berlanga's got to try and not necessarily make it messy, but I think he's got to try and get inside. I think if Berlanga can't get inside, then he's got to look for a haymaker, personally. So I think, yeah, Berlanga tries to get on the inside, but I think Sheeraz has just got to keep him at range, box his fight, and the stoppage may come, it may not, but yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's a good point to make. Of course, we haven't even mentioned yet about the size. And Sheeraz up now at 168. We could see the peak of Hamzah Sheeraz here. As you say, how did he ever make super welterweight? How did he even make middleweight? And now he's up at 168, and we could see him peak here, or we could even see him move up again. But that's a conversation for another day as well. Thomas, I'll throw it over to you. Do you agree with Owen here? Is it a case of Berlanga has to knock Sheeraz out here, and he won't be able to outbox him over the distance? What's your take on it?
I pretty much agree 100% with Owen. I think it would have to go down that way for both guys to win. If Berlanga wants to win, he would need to get on the inside, be aggressive, look to land a big shot. He is considered to be a puncher, so that could be something that Shiraz has to look out for and remember. And Sheeraz, like Owen mentioned as well, just needs to stay outside, use his jab, use all of his tools. We've all agreed that he's the more well-rounded fighter, so I think he needs to, pull all the tools out of his bag and employ them. And yeah, I think if he does that, he wins the fight. Um, so yeah, that's my breakdown on that.
Good breakdown, good analysis, and I'll keep it with you, Thomas. We've come to the main event prediction time. After that breakdown and that in-depth analysis there, what is your prediction for this one? Who gets it done? Shiraz or Berlanga?
I see Shiraz winning by decision. I obviously I think he's the better fighter, but I wouldn't be surprised to see. I do think Berlanga is at least tough enough to, make it the full 12. I mean, he did against Canelo. So, that's something to keep in mind in there. He did get dropped, but he did make it the distance. So maybe this fight plays out the same where he gets dropped early on and manages to survive to make it the distance. But I do think that Sheeraz will get the job done via unanimous decision.
Interesting one, interesting. Owen, same question. Let's hear it. What is your prediction for Edgar Berlanga and Hamzah Sheeraz?
I've toyed with this one. I was thinking Sheeraz points, but I think Sheeraz might stop him. I think he might catch him very late. Sort of round 8, round 9, round 10, that sort of mark. Probably 9 or 10 actually. I just think, like you say, Berlanga's tough and Berlanga can punch. Canelo's a different kettle of fish, so I think Berlanga's going to be looking at this and thinking Sheeraz should have lost. We can stop him here. We can get in on the inside. So like me and Thomas said, get the job done, take him out, and I think that's going to be his downfall. And I think Sheeraz is going to break him down. And it'll either be a case of late on Berlanga goes looking, swinging for the heavens and gets caught, or just like I say, I think Sheeraz will break him, go to the body quite heavily, and take him out round 10. We'll go with.
Interesting, yeah. I think it's a clean sweep anyway. I'm going with Sheeraz as well. I just think Berlanga will be way too one-dimensional. Sheeraz can outbox him and he can punch as well. Possibly as hard as Edgar Berlanga can. He's a huge puncher in his own right. And I agree with you, and I think you could get him out of there. I think late as well. I think he will be ahead on the cards with a relatively decent lead, and I think he will get him out. I'll say rounds 10 to 12 stoppage for Hamza Sheeraz. Yeah, but it would be a statement. It would be a statement if he could do what Canelo couldn't do. Say what you want about Edgar Berlanga, but if Canelo couldn't stop him and Sheeraz goes in there and gets him out, that is a big, big statement. But yeah, I cannot wait for this one. I really can't. I think it's going to be explosive. And I think somebody is getting knocked out. I really do, whether it's Sheeraz or Berlanga, somebody's getting put down and put out. But yeah, that was just our big fight breakdown for this huge super middleweight clash as Edgar Berlanga challenges Hamza Sheeraz from the UK and Sheeraz's super middleweight debut, July 12th, Queens, New York, part of Ring 3, a huge card. Also, the likes of Puello versus Matthias, Stevenson, Zapata. Yeah, it's going to be one to savor in New York. So, yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with our breakdown? Do you agree with our predictions? How do you see it playing out? Get involved down below. And yeah, if you're not doing so already, please, first of all, drop a like on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing if you're not doing so already. And follow us on all social media. Thomas, Owen, it was a pleasure and take care.
Likewise, thank you.